That's also why I became a speech pathologist. Beyond, the figurative expression of, helping students find their voice, I literally, in some cases, help students find their voice.
Welcome to the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of innovation, leadership, and transformative ideas shaping the future of education and technology. Each episode is a journey into the minds of visionary educators, thinkers, and leaders who are not just talking about change, they're living it. Real people leading real change. This is where passion meets practice and ideas come to life. Welcome to the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Teach, Lead, Innovate, and Happy New Year. I'm Dave Walker, your host, and I wish for nothing but the very best for all of you in the year ahead. All right, so I'm pretty excited this week because we have today's guest is Dennis Mathews, a veteran
Hey.
educator. There he is. There's Dennis. And before I even begin in the intro, I'm so excited too because we've been trying to connect for a while now, and it's happening.
It's finally happening. Yeah, yep.
It's happening.
That's life. It's all good. It's all
That's
good.
it. That's it. But we're here. So Dennis is a veteran educator, a children's author, and a singer-songwriter whose work inspires young minds around the world. Dennis is an elementary school speech pathologist with nearly 2 decades in education. And in 2019, he began creating stories and songs rooted in social emotional learning and growth mindset. And since then, almost 100,000 copies of his books have been distributed globally. And he's presented his motivational music-filled assemblies to students everywhere. And Dennis plans engaging live music, interactive storytelling, and thoughtful discussions about writing and creativity to help kids find their voice, build connection, and discover their own song. Welcome to the Teach, Lead, Innovate podcast, Dennis.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. All right. So let's start at the beginning, Dennis. How does a speech pathologist end up writing children's books and performing music in schools? Like, what
Yeah,
sparked that creative leap for you?
Yeah, so it's all connected for me. In your intro piece, saying that I help students find their voice in the writing and singing that I do. That's also why I became a speech pathologist. Beyond, the figurative expression of, helping students find their voice, I literally, in some cases, help students find their voice, whether it's working with a kiddo who has an articulation delay, or working with a kiddo who has a language delay. It is ultimately, I help children find their voice in being able to communicate, right? Bring their thoughts to the surface, whether that's with a peer or a family member, or a staff member. Ultimately, I'm helping children be confident and be, helping them be secure in themselves. And that's a mantra in my therapy room, that I tell every child that I have worked with for the last, 18 years, that what you have to say matters. Now, even if what you have to say needs help, needs work, um, as is the case with all of us, what we have to say might not be perfect, but still, what we bring to the table, what we have to say, has value, has worth. Ultimately, teaching children, letting children know you matter. You absolutely matter, to me, to your family, to your staff. So that element of helping children find their voice found an extension in my writings, in the stories that I write, in the songs that I write. When children sing my songs, when they um, read my books or hear my stories, I want elements of my writings, of my songs, to find a place of relevance in the child that's receiving the story, receiving the song. I mean, beyond even it being for children, I've had adults tell me I was reading this book to my child and found myself in tears, or we were singing this song and it connected with me. So, even as adults, right, we still have aspects or compartments of our childhoods living in us, right? Even though we've grown in years, our childhood still kind of lingers and travels with us, and so my writings, my songs even connects with adults to the child in them, because those emotions from our childhood days, um, they're still in us, and so yeah, ultimately helping children and adults see themselves in my books, in my songs, is what it's all about. And it began with helping children find their voice and see themselves in the therapy that I do as a speech therapist, right? So, yeah, that's how it all began, and it's become its own, full time career. And I'm humbled to be doing it, and hope to be doing it for a long time, hopefully.
Dennis, when you were discussing that earlier, I mean, it just kind of resonated to me. Like, I don't think I've ever thought of like the feelings of from childhood, like still being with us. Like, I mean, it's something that's obvious, right? It makes sense, but it's like it's kind of like very powerful. What you just said, like, it caused me to reflect, like, what am I bringing, every day? What am I carrying, you know? And then another thing you said that was really to me, really kind of like jumped out at me was for kids, like what you have to say matters. Like, I think, again, we always talk about student voice and empowerment, but I think just the way you said it, what you have to say matters is something that kids can resonate with when they hear that. And I think just that message is so empowering.
In my speech therapy sessions, for me as a speech therapist, the ideal speech session is where the session is student led and run. I have speech sessions where kids come and the child has harnessed, taken ownership of whatever skill that they're learning, to the point where I sit back and say, okay, Mr. Joey or John or Susie or whatever, okay, what would you like to work on today? How you tell me how much you want to
Wow.
work on it, and when you're done with it, you are free to go. And there is this sense of, what? Yes, sir, you're in charge. Yes, ma'am, you're in charge. Go ahead. That's the goal, because I mean, as adults, don't we have moments in our life where we feel like we're just, um, the end result of all the circumstances that are happening around us, right? We're just going through life, going through the motions. I mean, I can tell you as a busy
Yeah.
dad, busy educator, there are just times I feel like I'm just a schedule is running my life, right? And
Yeah.
there's just truths to that. And as adults, you have to pause and say, hold up a minute. I'm not the product of my environment and my circumstances. I can take more ownership of my day. And well, how about if why not teach those truths to our young men and women and say, listen, yes, you are expected to be at a certain place, certain time, and yes, you are expected to have responsibilities and job. But hello, this is your life. At some point, you're not going to have 7 to 8 adults constantly telling you what to do. This You're gonna have to say, this is my life, this is what I want to work on, I want to make my life what I want it to be. And so, man, I take those adult concepts and truths and I try to instill seeds in my kiddos, even at a young life. I mean, at home, with my 2 almost 3-year old, and my wife and I are we're the farthest thing from being perfect parents. My goodness, we're learning every day. But even with our kids at home, we instill the fact that you're not the product of your circumstance. You have a life that you've been given to be a steward of, and everybody has a job, everybody has a duty, everybody contributes to our team endeavor, right? So, um, man, yeah. So students taking ownership of what they work on, what they do, is just very important to me. Just kind of talking about what I do in the
Love it.
speech setting, and so that's what kind of translates into my writing and singing as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, Dennis, your work leans into themes like social emotional learning and growth mindset. How much of that how much of that comes directly from what you've seen or experienced yourself in a school?
Almost all of it, almost all of it. And I'm very honest and transparent about that in my assemblies. When I talk about Bello the cello, or I talk about my wild first day of school, or I talk about how Grizzly found gratitude. And this conversation happens more so with my third, fourth, and fifth graders when they ask me, what inspired you to become an author? What inspired, and I take you back to Dennis Mathew as a child, as an elementary school student, not knowing where he fit in, not being able to, finding it difficult to be successful in school, finding it difficult to make friends. That's Bello the cello story. And much later in my life, in my later 20s, early 30s, I had the idea of writing a story about a cello who has a hard time fitting in, because it was my story. And the reason I was kind of moved to write that story is because as an educator, walking the hallways of schools, I saw children that reminded me of young Dennis Mathew who were having a hard time fitting. And I was like, you know what, maybe the story of a cello who has a song, but a cello who takes time to find his song, find his purpose. Maybe that'll connect with kids. And, by the grace of God, I can say 35,000 copies later, I think it's
Awesome.
connecting. It's connecting, and a sequel for Bello the Cello is coming. And in Wild First Day of School, that's a poem. It's not a story, but the reason I wrote that is because I knew from a young age there was something wild and different about me. There was an energy about me that was just different, and I need to harness it and harness it the right way. And so my wild first day of school is speaking to that energetic, rambunctious, wild kid, right? That still has something to offer to bring to the table, and talking about how while the first day of school might bring with it some uncertainty and anxiety, we're going to embrace the uncertainty. We're going to embrace the unknown and channel who we are into that, and make the first day of school amazing. And so it's a concept about animals going to school, hence the play on words with my wild, and how
Oh,
Grizzly Found Gratitude's all about a bear who was lost, a grizzly who was lost, and he has to say bye to his old sense of connection and belonging and begin again. And that's my story, because after living in Oklahoma City for so long, when I met my wife, I had to move to Boston. And mind you, at that time, I am 33 years old. As an adult, I was not dealing with transitions well at all, because I was used to things being a certain way. And hello, how many kids and families in our schools
yeah.
go through transition? So I
Yeah.
wanted to write a story about how gratitude, being thankful for what is working in your unknowns, right? How it can get us through those difficult moments. And my goodness, it has really resonated with adults, and especially parents. I have parents who will like message me on Instagram at 12 in the midnight or 2 a.m. in the morning saying, I was sitting here. I just happened to come home from work after a late night shift. I saw this book that my kindergartner brought in from school. I just started reading, and I was in tears. Or, so once I was on author visit and I'm signing books. A mom walks up to me, gives her child's book to me, and as I'm signing it, the mom says, "I am going through a divorce right now."
Wow.
And this story just told me that everything's going to be okay. That was so raw,
That's so
right?
real.
And I
Wow.
had to pause and go, "Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that." Or um, when I'm in Georgia, like I'm just doing my thing that I do, right? You just go from one city to the next or one state to the next. You're just doing your journey. And I was at a school in Georgia to present how Grizzly found gratitude, and there was a girl who brought all three of my books, and she was like, she's probably in first or second grade at that time, and she said, "I'm your biggest fan. I've been keeping all of your books. I really
Wow.
would love for you to sign and personalize." I was like, "You exist? It's like my book's connecting with you. Like my book's actually connecting with kids." It's like,
Wow.
man, and sure enough, it was a note
Real.
from her dad that was on the book saying, "No, my daughter is your biggest fan. Would you please?" And absolutely, yeah, we signed, personalized. So, yeah, all of it. And this is something I actually, student empowerment is very huge to me. Like I already told you, like in my speech, talking about my speech sessions, in my assemblies, man, a chant we kind of say back and forth is, "I am an author. I'm an author. Writing is my superpower. Writing is my superpower." So it's very important for children to leave my assemblies knowing I can create. I can look into my own life experiences and come up with the ideas to write a story. And so, yeah, all of it from my life experience. And I tell children, to write a story, you don't have to go out there to look for a good story. You are a living story that is
Yep.
being written. You are evolving. Look at your life, and what trip, what excursion, what camping trip could you maybe make a story out of? So just again, helping students find their voice, their worth, that they matter, right? That's what it's all about. Yeah.
How cool is it that like your creations are literally like literally changing people's lives. Like your books are changing. Like when you tell sharing that, especially about the mom with the divorce, I'm like, I think sometimes we can not realize we don't realize what our impact is. I'm a as the Christmas season just passed, I'm a huge fan of the movie It's a Wonderful Life.
Hmm.
And you know, like the whole story of like we don't always know our what our reach is, our impact. And I mean, I think it's apparent that what you are doing is truly making a difference. You got to keep it up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you know, you've reached so many kids, right? We talk about like, through your books and through your performances, right? Your assemblies. Has there been has there been another moment or piece of feedback from a student or a teacher that's really struck you? Especially when we talk about like assemblies. I know you shared about the book, but has there been any other moment that's really kind of resonated with you? Like, wow.
Yeah, like recently I was at a school in Iowa, and this is just three that come to my mind. Um where two girls, sisters, they had sat through an assembly, and then they decided to go home. And that evening, maybe, or the next evening, big sister, little sister, and little brother also found his way into the living room. And mom, I think, who was a teacher, video recorded a show that these two sisters are putting on, and it's an assembly that they're doing for their parents at home in the living room. And so you have, one sister. They both did one of the songs that I did at the assembly with the movements and everything. And then the younger sister says, Dennis Mathew is an author. He writes books, and so they were putting on a show like I did a show at their school for their parents. The other one is, I'm thinking about the school I visited in Pennsylvania. I have a song called Let's Roar, and my gosh, this little boy can sing. He's maybe 6'7". Oh, 6'7". It just happened. Six
It
seven.
just happened.
Man. Yeah. So mom texted the principal a video saying he sings Let's Roar, begins his day with Let's Roar every day. And mom
Wow.
recorded a video of him singing, tended to send it to the principal, and the kid can sing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you have a voice. You sound beautiful." The other one recently, I was in California. I was reading How Grizzly Found Gratitude, and a fourth grader came up to me. Actually, his teacher or assistant principal brought him up to me, and he was shy because of what his assistant principal wanted to show me. So 3 years prior to that, I had been to his school and I had read Bello the cello. Well, he's in fourth grade now, so they had a for fall for the fall or for like the Halloween time. A lot of schools around the country do like a pumpkin showcase where they decorate, carve, etc., a pumpkin to make it like the character of a book, etc. Well,
Mhm.
this sweet child, and this is not the first time it has happened, this kid transformed a pumpkin into Bello the cello. And he didn't have the pumpkin with him, but he had pictures of it. And so 3 years prior is when I had visited. And so his assistant principal brought him up and said, I just want you to meet so and so. And I don't remember the name. I can see his face. This is so and so. I just want you to see these pictures. And she's showing her phone to me of this kid who had internalized, taken ownership of the character I had written about, and he decided to make his pumpkin into Bello the cello. So those little fragments, pieces, along my travels that people have heard a story, and they've taken it and made it theirs. I've had kids who have written sequels to my stories,
Wow.
and I'm just like, yes.
More.
And in my when I work with educators, parents, schools, etc., um, I'm very free with the content that I've created. I tend to, obviously, yeah, I don't want my content to be pirated or copyright violations, yada yada. Yes, there's that. But other than that, man, especially if you're checking in with me and saying, especially if a parent is reaching out and saying, my child wants to write a sequel to your story, and make a book. I'm like, go for it,
That's
right?
awesome.
Um, I'm very free with my work. And a core value for me as a creator is that anything I create should be available freely to educators. So while I write to the child who is invisible, I also want to see myself as an ally for the classroom teacher. So, which is why content that I write, stories that I write are very robust stories. Like they're you can go mile wide with them, but you can beyond that, you can definitely go a mile deep. Like a constant feedback that I get about my books is that the vocabulary is so robust, right? It's so rigorous. And so you can take any of my stories and read it to a pre-K and just enjoy the artwork and just the theme, right? But you can also take a picture book that I write and absolutely just do an expository work, a post analysis of sort with a third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader. Like my next book that's coming out is called Beautiful Sky, because I've always been fascinated by the sky. I can go out to take trash, and my wife will be like, "You've been gone for like 10 minutes. Where are you?" I could literally be standing in the driveway after I put the trash out, right? I could literally night sky just look up and just be lost. It's always just stuck with me. I got to write about the sky, write about the sky. So I wrote a poem about the sky. It's called Beautiful Sky, A Letter to Heavenly Wonders. And it's coming out pretty soon. Yeah, it's a poem. The artwork is amazing, but each scene is set in a different part of the world. And the idea
Wow.
is like children from all over the world
Goodness.
look up at a sky. They all look up and see stars. They all look up and see the sun. They all see rainbows. So it's a unifying piece,
Connection.
but it's also a diverse piece in that you can do a world geography study going through the pages, because we've showcased the pyramids, we've showcased the Eiffel Tower. And so in my assemblies, one of the things that I want to do is even incorporate chat gpt into the assemblies, where I upload a picture, just a picture, a scene from the book that has no words, upload a picture into ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, where is this picture located? And it will say,
Uh,
this scene is set in Paris, France. And then have children do a study on the Eiffel Tower or a study on so you can easily take any of my works and take it apart to level it for kiddos that are in higher grade levels. So all of those journeys, right? All of those things that I get, feedback that I get from parents, educators from around the country are things that kind of keep me going, because this work is brutal. It's
I'm
hard.
sure.
It's a journey of 1,000 miles. But I love that grit and grind of it. I love that every like I'm counting the cost, so to say. Like every feedback that I get, I feel like, man, I worked for that. But it's not why I'm doing what I do.
Of course.
However, I love that it's not this easy journey.
Of course.
Right? Yes, there are mountain peak moments for sure. Like this is a mountain peak moment where I'm getting to chat with you. But um the
Same
valley
here.
moments, yeah, the valley moments are where I'm working to put the next book out. Or, so like right now I'm in the middle of creating 4 books really. So I'm in the toolbox, so to speak. My hands are grimy and dirty because we are going through editing and we're going through the design phase and etc. But I know the rewards at the end. Students always ask me, what keeps you going? I say, standing in an assembly of 500 kids or 1,000 kids, this is what keeps me going, right? So, yeah, all of that sticks with me, bro. That's why I keep going. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your school visits. Like, yeah, I know you got the music, the interactive reading. There's so much energy. Um, two questions. Like, what is the vibe like? Like, how are you feeling when you're in front of this students, right? And then like, if people are interested, if any listeners are interested in having you come to their school, like, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so I would definitely call them shows,
Okay,
because I walk in with my guitar. I definitely I have a certain aspect to me where God has gifted me to be an entertainer, and so in my music now let's say I'm coming to a school in March of 2026. I've already shared my music with them, December, November. So they ideally, when I arrive at a school, while I take time in my assemblies to teach my songs to kids, the ideal case scenario is where when I walk into a school, and this happens countless times, kids are like, "Oh my gosh, that's him! We've seen him on YouTube," and they're already singing my song even before I've gotten there, and to where I get my guitar out and I strum the first G or C or whatever, and they're just ready to go, right? So the energies, principal superintendents constantly tell me, like, the mood in the building weeks leading up to a visit, weeks after a visit is just, it's very it's uplifting for the atmosphere in a building. That's definitely why I come, I think, to bring joy, and to kind of remind kids and staff what it is that we do at the end of the day and why we do it, right? And so presentations are typically 45 minutes long, but they can go as long as an hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
And I present to pre-K through fifth. I've had assemblies with all pre-K through fifth in one assembly, and you're thinking, what in the world? But there's so much happening. And because I'm an educator, I kind of become who I see in front of me. So if I feel like I have an energetic, like engaging audience, then I kind of become, a child too in some ways. Like I become silly, I become goofy. I take audience, like I'm more like impromptu with the questions I take from my audience. Like we keep it moving, right? But if I have a crowd that's there and they're just like, we're here to just absorb, then that's who I become. So I kind of kind of morph into what I'm seeing in front of me, like become the presenter that my audience needs.
No doubt.
But that 45-minute window, first 20 minutes is we are singing and moving. And we're doing movement breaks and things of that nature. The next 15 to 20 minutes is a reading. And when I say 15 to 20 minutes, it's a very engaging. I am not staying seated in my chair with a book in my hand. We are showing the book on a screen. And every page has lots of mini lessons. We are defining words. We are analyzing artwork. We're analyzing facial expressions. We go to, we will go page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait. Remember this? We got to backtrack to page 1. We want to make a connection as to why this is happening on page 5 because of what happened in page 1. So it's a very like analytical story reading
Hmm.
where kids feel like they're experiencing a book, and we're making predictions. We're talking about what tools an author should have in their box, right? We talk about how a great story will have a great problem that needs a solution. We talk about emotions in stories. So it's all of that. um and if educators want to connect with me, my website is a great place to send me a message, booksbydennis.org. But otherwise, search Dennis Mathew author on Google. I'm on Instagram at Stories by Dennis. No, sorry, I'm on Instagram. It's Books by Dennis, I think. On X or Twitter, Stories by Dennis. Yep, Instagram is Books by Dennis. X is Stories by Dennis. I'm on Facebook. You can message me, Dennis Mathew. They're welcome to contact me through you. There's lots of ways to get a hold of me. They can text me if they want to. Um, yeah, so all of the above. Yeah.
Outstanding. And I'll definitely share all that information too in the description when I release the video. Um, I, I got one more question for you, although I feel
Yeah.
like I could keep talking to you all day, Dennis.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, for those listening who might dream of writing their own children's books, what's one piece of advice that you wish someone had told you when you were just starting out?
Yeah, start now. The like I feel like aspiring authors, especially children's authors, they want to, and this was totally me, we wait to kind of have all the pieces of the puzzle figured out. Like I want to
Mhm.
know what my story is going to be, beginning, middle, end, like all the plot twists, da, 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 da. Then I want to know who my editor is going to be, I want to like lock everybody in, and then I'll put my pen to paper. And you will realize, if that's the approach someone wants to take, it's totally fine. the more experienced you become, like then you'll get to feel for like who my editor is going to be, who my illustrator is going to be. But when you're first starting, you will realize that the idea of a story that you had in your mind, right, and what actually gets on paper will look very different, because that's the creative process. I can't tell you how many times I've written a story and then completely had to start over, and the product that came after the rewrite was better. So I would say, and what I jokingly tell educators that I mean, authors that I coach is just like, just throw it all, just throw up on paper, just like put it all out there, right? It will be messy, and ideally it is messy. Get a decent beginning, middle, and end, and just get it out there. Then when you're connected with an editor, that's when the actual like cleanup and the rewrite happens, right? And I coach many educators who are authors through the writing process, who want to write picture books, and people are, listeners are welcome to reach out to me, right, to kind of walk through that process as well. Yeah, but I mean, I always say start now, right? I don't have the whole idea up in my mind, Dennis. That's okay. Just put down what you have, right? And then what is supposed to come next will present itself, because that's how we're wired. That's what the brain will do. Like it'll kind of synthesize out new information for you based on what you already have put out. But until you start, this is what we tell our kids, right? This is what we tell students,
Yes.
right? Right?
Right.
So until your eyes see what's already in your brain, right? Your brain has nothing to problem solve. It's all just mush up here, up, pointing to my head, up in your brain. And so you got, yeah, just put out what you have first, and then the rest will come. There are just on this trip, there are just times where my wife can tell where my mind is taken off and I'm in like daydream land, and she'll tell me, "Oh, you're thinking about something. What is it?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm thinking about an idea. I'm thinking about a character." So there are just times where my mind will just kind of go. And the other thing, daydream. Find time and
Yeah.
space. Find time and space, whether when you're sitting with that first cup of coffee on a Saturday morning, windows open, you're just looking out at the neighbor's house or whatever. Let your mind go. Kids do that. Kids daydream and let imagination take over, right? As we become adults, I feel like that's another element of our childhood we just kind of lay to the wayside as we become adults and more serious, right? But to kind of be an adult who is a creator, you kind of have to let your mind go back to those childhood days,
Yeah.
and kind of harness that to kind of tap into the creativity that's still in us, but we don't tend to experience them because we're just so caught up in the seriousness of life, right? Bills and routines and schedules and all that. So, yeah, I would say start writing now and find time to let your mind kind of take you to that imaginative place where you can write.
Dennis, I think that's such a relevant message, especially with the new year, 2026, is that like just start now. And you can say that about anything, that any obstacle in your way. I don't know if I can handle it. Like just do it. Just go for it. So I think that message is extremely timely, especially as we're here in the new year. So Dennis, I just want to thank you so much for coming on to the show today. It has been truly a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Absolutely. I just noticed another thing, so I'm in a bit of a transition with my face and my head. You can see, like, well, I've been bald forever, but
You
I
got a great
used to.
hairstyle there, my man.
Yeah, so I always had a big beard, and for whatever reason, I'm going this way, where I have no facial hair and no hair up top as well. And my wife's been like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I've been questioning, like, do I look good? And just to come on a show and be with another brother who also
Right.
is sporting the same look. I'm like, listen, you know what? There's
That's
more of
right.
us out there. There's more of us out there who are sporting this look with
Mm.
bald up top and no facial hair. And power to us. We're doing all right.
I know that's right. And you know what? It's interesting is I always go back and forth too with my beard. Like I don't want to shave it, want to keep it. I just can't stand the itchiness, to be honest with you, Dennis. I just,
Hey, listen, just
that's
be
it.
yourself. Be
That's it.
yourself.
Be yourself. That's a great message there.
Thanks for having me, dude. I
Of
appreciate you.
course, man. Of course. All right, everybody. Until next time, stay inspired, stay positive, and have the best day ever.